Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Mifsud, Vice President, General Manager, and Leader of Customer Management Services at Shift Global Services. Tony, thanks very much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm excited about talking about our CMS and Shift Global Services business. Thank you for having me. Definitely ready to get to it.
Absolutely. And let's get right into it. And I'm excited to kind of get under the hood into the magical world of customer experience outsourcing. And I think maybe the best place to start this discussion is by asking you kind of about some of the most common business challenges that cause companies to consider companies like Shift for customer experience outsourcing.
Yeah, so definitely when we look at this, it's when we talk to OEMs, and by OEMs we mean original equipment manufacturers. So they're always looking at the long tail of their business as an interesting way of how they can support their ongoing growth. And generally, OEMs do a great job of managing the top 20% of their customers that generate 80% of the results. Where we come in is managing that unmanaged space and where they struggle to find budget, they struggle to find resources to be able to manage thousands of customers spread among many geographies. And so that's where we've found a way and kind of a secret formula of how to integrate a team that can really drive new streams of revenue and growth for them that we specialize in managing for them. And we can do it in multiple languages spread around the globe. And this opens up many other opportunities to scale their business as we collectively advance. So if you look at some of the case studies that we've published over the years, it's really that the bread and butter is that unmanaged long tail space of customers and resellers for OEMs.
Mm. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to kind of dive a bit deeper into that secret formula as the conversation goes on. But there's many kind of similar businesses within the kind of outsourcing space. Maybe the next best question for me to ask you would be around kind of what are some of the best qualities that companies should be conscious of when selecting an outsourcing partner?
So that's a great question because that's so important. When you think about the qualities that you have to engage with when you're selecting an outsourced partner, the first thing I always go back to is OEMs are always looking to cut costs. So cost optimization should be a part of that. But we always recommend as advisors, and we consider ourselves advisors of our customers, of our OEM partners. What we tell them is they've also got to look at the culture of the provider that they're looking to onboard. So meaning these people are going to be representing your brand. So they have to be a great cultural fit with your mission, vision, the way they execute, their value set. They've got to align really well with your internal organization. So that's one thing that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet, but that is critical to deliver that customer experience that we're talking about. And then I think the other part is the product portfolio and services portfolio that the company has to be able to scale your business. So we talked about the long tail and the CMS part of it, but the really exciting thing about Shift Global Services is that we're uniquely primed with a unique set of services that maybe by themselves as a standalone are similar to other companies that provide outsourced services, but we provide the full customer lifecycle and full product lifecycle. So we can do everything from repair services, global supply chain, global field services, global customer management services, and global integration services. So you can start in CMS, but then you can find a way to scale your business with the results that we provide with the other suite of services that we have. And it fits perfectly into the journey of an OEM to bring their products to market. So it's just I'm really excited about talking about this because it really fits in well, and our customers give us fantastic feedback about how we integrate with their overall organization.
Mm. I think those are two really great points, actually. First of all, kind of the culture, and then kind of to look beyond your requirements for right now, and assess kind of the broader portfolio almost to make sure it kind of fits with your longer term needs. I think there's two really great considerations for companies. But now, kind of maybe moving on from considerations to best practices. Are there any kind of those best practices that you could perhaps share with us so a company can ensure they have success with their kind of customer experience outsourcing adventure?
Yeah, the first thing that we always recommend to the OEMs to ensure that our program is successful with them is the engagement, especially at the executive level. We want the executives to be engaged with us so that our organization feels like they're a true extension, so that we're not just seamless in the way we operate, but it's also we're hearing the message straight from their VP, from their president, from their senior vice president. And so that's something that we work really hard as an executive team to create those long lasting relationships so that our organization can hear the message straight from the customer, the OEM. And so we feel and we act as a true extension of the organization. I think the other part of it is we never want, and when I talked about this in the previous question, we never want to just set up a program and let it just execute. We want to talk about, even from the very initial stages of our relationship, about what would be wave one, wave two, wave three. How can we take this to the next level? So if you look at the Lenovo case study that we published, the Extreme Networks case study that we published, we always started with a really small sample of their business, but we were able to scale these into multiple year agreements and where we're driving much, much more than where we started. So I think that's what's really exciting about our model, that it's 100% flexible. It's custom built. So we don't have two programs that act or think alike. We build them in the image of the OEM as a true extension of them. And then the way it succeeds is once we produce results, we've already had a discussion about what we would do at step 2, step 3, step 4. And every single fiscal year, we're taking new ideas to the table on how we can do even more for the OEM, whether it's with what we already have and have invested in and transforming that, or adapting and adding even more. And so when you look at our case studies, some of the names that I just mentioned, but even the other OEMs that we support today globally, they've always started with a small, flexible, custom sized model. And then we can scale that, whether it's within CMS or even with one of my peers in repair, global field services, supply chain integration. And it's just, that's the interesting collaboration that we can always have with our OEM customers.
Mm. And it's really great that you're not looking to boil the ocean right away. You're kind of establishing a strong relationship and then building from that. And I think that's some really great insight into the kind of secret formula that you're building at Shift. Maybe let's kind of look more into the nuts and bolts of kind of what an outsourcing relationship looks like in practice. I don't know, kind of, if you could kind of spell out for me kind of what does such an outsourcing partnership look like?
So we have some really good case studies that are published today. So I'll give you two very succinct examples. One is the Lenovo case study that we published. Just like I was saying in the previous question, this started with a really small sample size of their reseller base in North America. And we were basically going to promote their brand and looking to scale revenue through registering partners and scaling a baseline of revenue. And then quickly what happened from there is that we realized that as we were being successful at managing that long tail, we were able to go and invest further. And so we added more reseller base, we added a wider geography, we added Canada, and then we started to get more strategic with how we were going to develop that business. So we started doing customer onboarding. We added other flavors like inside sales support for field resources. And then we started looking at the technical side of the business as well. Started looking at hiring engineers, solutions architects, inside support technicians. And so we've scaled that massively. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar engagement that we have. And we're really excited about that in a 14-year relationship. And then the other example of that is the Extreme Networks case study that we have published as well, where we looked at cross-selling and product adoption for Extreme Networks and their end user base. And so we were extremely successful at engaging that end user base and going back and doing multiple customer success initiatives. Like I mentioned before, cross-selling was a really important one, but really product adoption and services adoption to make sure that they were maximizing the use of their products and make sure that they were I, no pun intended, being successful with the products that they were using and leveraging them to the maximum of their capabilities. So all the other programs that we manage are also applicable within this same story. It's starting with a small sample and then going and scaling this out into multi-million dollar engagements that generate new streams of revenue, new streams of growth, and just overall are just a fantastic story to tell for OEMs internally in their organization, and how they were smart about investing in an unattended space, and then how we transformed that into revenue and growth.
Mm. And I imagine it's taken you quite a long time almost to kind of get to this stage where you were able to kind of build those such close relationships with brands like Lenovo that you mentioned. There's a huge brand that you're working with there, and I'm sure one of many. But could you maybe also share some insight into how kind of Shift has evolved over the years to kind of better meet the needs of such customers?
So I've got a good story to tell here, because I was the first person ever hired to build out the CMS business. So I was a rep in this model. I was a seller. I went on to other roles, and including the role that I have today. So I've had 10 different roles as the journey has done over a decade and a half of building out the CMS model. So I think the way we've evolved is, yes, we definitely learned that for OEMs, it's a great way to invest if we can pilot programs, if we can look at sample sizes, prove out concepts, and then scale. And our team is built to do that really quickly. So we can start up. One of the things we learned is we had to build a customer success organization within our own organization to make sure that all of the programs are seamless, that we're quick to hire, quick to implement, quick to scale. And the OEMs love this about us, because internally they always tell us, well, it takes us, 3 months, 4 months to hire a team. It takes us 4 weeks sometimes. And so sometimes even sooner than that. And that means we're standing up programs in a month, month and a half. And that means their time to revenue is reduced. Their ability to scale is increased. And so when they want to do an add-on program, we just replicate that formula of customer success internally. And we're able to really speed up the process of servicing them and creating new avenues of revenue and growth for them. So I think the flexibility, the ability to scale, and the fact that we can do small sample sizes that transform into mammoths for them is just fantastic. And I talked about the long tail as an entry point, and that's really 80% of the conversations start there. But then we can add technical services, technical assistance centers. We can add global field services. We can add business analytics into the mix, which tends to add more insights and value into their programs. We can also look at how we can use customer success programs where we're going to the end user to cross-sell and to do more product adoption and services adoption. And so really exciting, because we've built out all of these services as our OEMs have been telling us, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you help us with this? And we've really learned about, through our expertise, how we can put that in a unique set of services, which is today's CMS. But the same can be said about the entire Shift wheel that I keep talking about, where you can start in CMS. And we have customers today who are consuming 4 of our platforms at the same time. So they're consuming repair, they're consuming CMS, they're consuming global field services or maintenance business. And it's all a seamless contract that executes all together. And that's what we're really excited about. That's the story we have to tell to any OEM out there who needs help.
Yeah, and you've done a really great job there of kind of outlining so many kind of avenues for growth, as you termed it, for companies that kind of start off working with you. Maybe it would be good to kind of dive deeper into that, and maybe for me to ask you kind of, how does an outsourcing partnership maybe open the door to such growth opportunities for companies?
Yeah, and so like I said before, the cool thing about our wheel and our set of services is you get to start anywhere you want. And so if you choose CMS, we're going to stand up a team that's an extension of your organization and is going to act on your behalf and basically engage with your resellers or end users, depending on how you want us to go and do that and develop new revenue for you. But there might be an opportunity as we're doing that. you might need help from a technical perspective or from a field engineer perspective. So we have programs where we're the CMS insight function, talking to the resellers and customers, but then we have a global field services business that can be the feet on the street that you need for all the service calls, troubleshooting servers, going to provide and being that service provider, that white label service provider for all of your customers and all of your resellers. And so we can customize that program and join any point of the wheel as we see fit, as the OEM also wants us to scale. And so if you think about it, that's where our repair business comes into fruition as well, because as we're learning and we're learning more about the needs of resellers and the needs of the customers of an OEM, they might have an opportunity where, they don't have the scale to go in, do all of the repair services that they need to do for all of the products that they're putting out in the marketplace. We have a unique part of our portfolio that does this with multiple centers spread around the world that can support OEMs globally. And the same can be said for our global supply chain organization and our integration services as well. So we have stories where we've taken OEMs from millions to billions in revenue. And that's what's really excited about how we do it. And it's always taking into consideration cost optimization, the culture and value, the execution of the services portfolio, and it's seamless to the OEM and to their customer base. So the customer base never knows that it's anyone else than the OEM providing these services. And that's what's really exciting about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've done, again, an excellent job kind of in painting a picture of the value that Shift can bring to a company. Maybe I'd just like to kind of finally just zoom out a little bit and look to the future. As we take kind of this topic of CX outsourcing kind of more generally, what do you think the future looks like for the industry, and how is kind of Shift working towards that future?
We've actually been talking to a lot of customers about this, right? The future of our services is going to be how our OEMs want us to evolve. And definitely AI is at the forefront of that. So anything, whether it's CMS, repair, supply chain, etc., analytics and AI are definitely a huge part of our future. But that doesn't mean that the white label people-led service goes away. We talk to customers all the time. They love talking to human beings. They love that white glove service. They love talking to Charlie, right? They love that Charlie knows everything about them and can adapt really well to the needs that the customer has. But when we look at ways of being more efficient and optimizing our services, yes, there's ways we can be less manual. We can be much more digitally transformed. And so right now, everything that we're implementing in our business model and in our investments is around AI and also around business analytics, because we want to be able to provide insights into the programs that we do, which we're already doing today. And then with artificial intelligence, there's lots of case studies that we're working actively as of today with OEMs to go and bring this to market, where maybe it's not AI in the face of the customer, but it's everything that's going on behind the scenes to make the experience more seamless, especially on the CMS front. That's what we're really honing in on. How can we be more efficient, quicker to produce revenue, smarter with our insights? And that's where AI and digital transformation really come in. So we've made key investments here, and we're going to continue to do that, definitely. And that's how we continue to scale in the CMS business, and we continue to get smarter and add more value.
Yeah, I really love how you're kind of taking such a customer orientated approach. I guess it served you so well to this point. It's great to kind of carry that on and continue in the future. But yeah, I think that's a great place maybe to end today's chat. What I'll do for everybody who's watching is I'll put a link into the description box below so everybody can check out more about Shift. But yeah, I think that's, as I said, enough. That's enough for today's conversation. But it's been really great to speak to you today, Tony. So thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you, Charlie, and thank you for the time. We're always excited to talk about our Shift Global Services, and in this case, our customer management services as well. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Tony, and also thanks everybody for watching. Bye for now.